What is the glory of God? What is the glory? There are different ways that the Bible explains or describes the glory of God that it would be important for us to take a look at so that we can understand the broader topic, or how, of course, its origin. We can understand how it's used, we can understand how it operates, we can understand how to recognize the glory of God when we see it. And the very first way that the Bible describes the glory of God is as a person. Ezekiel saw God in his glory, and how the Bible makes references to God as the God of glory. Okay, so now we're going to be going deeper into that. And I'll be reading from my notes. It says that the glory of God is used as a noun, as if to personify the glory, as if the glory is a person. Therefore, in the following instances, which I'm going to be reading from the Bible, the glory of God is a person. For example, in Exodus chapter 24, the glory of God called unto Moses in a voice that could be heard. And Moses went up, Exodus 24 verse 15, and Moses went up into the mount, and the cloud covered the mount, and the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. I told you that God actually came to live with the Israelites in the wilderness, that it was God who came down, led them through the Red Sea. God was physically with them, physically with them. When they crossed through the Red Sea, he was in the pillar of fire and in the pillar of cloud. So just keep that thought. But you can see here that the glory of God abode upon Mount Sinai. If you say abode, what do you mean? He lived. He lived there for some time. And he says, and the cloud covered it 6 days. So we can see that this is about 6 or 7 days. And he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. So instead of saying God, it makes reference to this person as the glory of the Lord. And then verse 17 says, and the sight of the glory of the Lord. This was the reason why Moses was writing it like this, because what he saw was God in his splendor and God in his glory. He said, and the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went into the midst of the cloud and got him up into the mount. That means he went into the mountain. And Moses was in the mountain for 40 days and for 40 nights. That means God's glory was in that mountain for over a month. God himself was there in that mountain for over a month. So this was the same picture that Ezekiel saw of God, of the glory of God. And he said it looked like a person, but just that it was like a fire enclosed inside and outside. So in the vision by prophet Ezekiel, Ezekiel personally referred to God as the glory of God. He says, Ezekiel wrote, he said, this was the appearance and the likeness of the glory of the Lord. In other words, what Ezekiel was saying is that this is what the glory of God looks like. The glory of God looks like fire enclosed. But you also remember the topic is that the glory of God is a person, as a person. So he was personified. In Ezekiel chapter 8 verse 4, this is another instant. The first one we read is Ezekiel chapter 1. Here Ezekiel says, behold, the glory of the God of Israel was there, according to the vision that I saw in the plain. So he was making reference to the first vision he saw in chapter 1. And he said also that the glory of God was also there. Then he said unto me, that's the glory of God said unto me, Son of man, lift up thine eyes now the way towards the north. Ezekiel identified the divine person as the Spirit, and he spoke of the glory of God as being there and as speaking, the glory of God speaking, as if to personify the glory. He even put out the form of a hand. That's how Ezekiel said it, that the glory of God put out the form of a hand. God is the God of glory who has an appearance of fire round about him. If you have never known what God looks like, this is an explanation. He is a God of glory. But again, remember I told you how Daniel saw God. Daniel saw God sitting on the throne, but he didn't see him in his glory. So it appears that there are times when God can turn off the glory, okay, so that you can see his face as he is. Otherwise, you would not be able to see him. You would just see the appearance of a man, of fire that is shaped like a man,